He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay, because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome everyone to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. Hi, I'm Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja, and as a former banker, former introvert, former pastor, and high-ticket sales ninja closer, I now help scale and grow businesses without the need for pushy tactics. And that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method, a kingdom-driven approach from the Bible, 1 Peter 3:15, which is built on trust, service, and true connection. My mission is to help over 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty so that you can sell more to give more. Today, we've got something very special for you. Our guest is a financial transformation coach who has helped families break free from debt and build wealth. And he's a founder of Empower Wealth Solutions and the creator of a powerful financial GPS system that's changing the way families think about money. So please welcome my special guest, Andy Bennetts. Andy, how's it going, brother?
I'm good, buddy. How are you? I love the intro, the hype music, man. I'm ready to run through.
I feel like I'm a hype man for everyone. I'm just setting people up.
Love it. So good to be here, buddy.
Thanks for coming on and looking forward to our podcast interview.
You bet.
So we have a lot to cover and discuss because as a former educator turned financial transformation coach who is on a mission to help Americans break free from debt and build generational wealth, you have a lot of background in education, school leadership. Mm-hmm. So tell us how you made the big shift and how you're adding to your repertoire with this new financial transformation coaching business.
Yeah, it's been kind of a long, winding road. It's a fun. I'm in a good place. I'm in a happy place right now as far as like what I'm doing to help and give back to people. As you mentioned before, my background is in education. I was a teacher and administrator in Southwest Colorado for about 10 years. I thought at this point in my life, being in my mid-40s, I would be a principal or a superintendent of a school, and God had other plans. And about halfway through towards the end of my education career, I switched gear into educational technology, which I still own and run an educational technology company. It's fantastic. We work with lots of folks. But this financial coaching aspect of things has been kind of a missing piece in my soul. I just feel like a lot of the things that I want to do to give back and to really make a difference in people's lives was somewhat lacking. So the ability to help people see the light at the end of the tunnel of debt and just that the weight of debt, giving them hope for a future and a way to get out of debt much faster than they thought possible before is something that I'm just elated to be a part of. I'm a user of the system myself. There's thousands of people that have used this system to eliminate close to $3 billion with a B dollars in interest that would normally go to banks and lenders. So it is a proven system. It's been around a very, very long time. Short caveat, I guess, I did not create the system. I'm a user and help people find that and work that through that. I wish I was that smart, but I did not create the system. I merely am the guide along the side to help people with that system.
Well, you're a smart enough guy to understand people who have paved the way and, made a way for you to provide that. I mean, eliminating, you said 3 billion with a capital B in debt. That sounds incredible. So first of all, it seems hard to believe because with the amount of debt that, you know, the average American has with credit card debt. I used to be in the bank with credit cards, and know that credit cards is a very, very easy way to buy what you want, but not afford the lifestyle and having to pay for it for years, if not longer. So, okay, let's back up a little bit because I'm gonna deep dive into that pool of debt, and you're gonna explain to us how, as a financial transformation coach, maybe you can walk us through the steps as a high level and how people can learn more through either connecting with you or other events that you have.
Right.
So did you have those kinds of struggles growing up or in your, you know, in the recent past of overcoming debt and financial struggles, first of all?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I don't know very many Americans at this point that are not dealing with debt on one level or another, right? Some of those might be financial aid, right? Student loans. Most Americans have a mortgage, so they're working on that. And then when you couple that, like you said, with credit cards, with a new truck loan or this kind of stuff, it adds up really, really quick. I was actually talking to a friend of mine right before this call of similarities, but also some key differences between weight gain and weight loss, right? You think of those might be some similar things to getting into debt and out of debt. The main difference is this: as a coach, right? We'll go into coaching mode here. For gaining weight, it's going to take time to gain weight, and it's going to take time to lose weight. Okay. To get out of debt, it will take time. I can show you a way that's going to be much faster. But the tricky and the scary part is this: you can go from no debt to an exorbitant amount of debt like that. It happens so quick. You sign your name on a dotted line and you are on the hook for $500,000, maybe more, right? And the other thing that just slays me is that kids can't, 18-year-olds can't rent a car, but they can sign a student loan document that's going to put them in debt the rest of their lives. I think that's a little ironic.
That is crazy, right?
I'm not sure what it is.
That is crazy. So how do you help people overcome debt and financial struggles? Because this seems to be a problem that plagues most Americans. Like, you talked about this financial GPS system. Apparently it's a step-by-step system. And, the first person that sees and hears this is going to probably raise their hands up and say, that's hard to believe. Is that even possible? Right. Show us and share with us what a proven financial GPS sounds like, looks like, feels like.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and you hit it on the head. The first step in this whole process is believing that there is another way. And if you can't, and if people can't get past the idea of like, oh, this sounds too good to be true, or this may, I can't help people if they're not have an open mind to see another way, to see a better way. So that's kind of the first hurdle. I do lean on the fact, these are facts, these are not opinions, that this company has been around for 20 plus years and eliminated over $3 billion in interest. That is not debatable. That is not something that is a personal feeling. That is a fact. Tens of thousands of people helped to eliminate, hundreds of thousands of dollars for each of those people for 20 plus years. It's a very proven system. And to your point of, what does that look like? Well, let me give you an example here. I'm using this cool little e-glass system here. This is a probably pretty standard debt load for a lot of Americans, right? You got some credit, you've got maybe furniture, college debt, auto loan, trailer loan. I mean, you name it. You could maybe switch this out for a boat or a motorcycle, whatever the case is. But when you look at this type of debt load, you ask financial advisors, right? You ask the Dave Ramseys of the world. Okay, well, what would you do? How would you pay off this debt? Here's the reality. You ask 10 financial advisors, how would you do this? You're going to get 10 or 12 or 15 different answers as the best way to handle this, right? Here's what I know. While everybody has an opinion, there is one mathematical fastest way to pay this off. Only one mathematical way. And the idea with the financial GPS system that we talk about is that we can take that 30-year loan, and rather than going this long twisting route, which is what banks and lenders will want you to do, because the longer you are in debt, the more money they make, right? So if we can show folks a faster way, a more direct way to pay this off, we can cut half, 3/4 of your time off, and that ends up being hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest that is no longer in the bank's pocket, but it's in your pocket. So that is the 10,000 foot view of as to how this financial GPS system works.
Keep that up if you don't mind. That's a great graph on the top right. What, and this might be an outlandish question to ask, but I don't know if you know how to answer this, but like for all the people who are listening or watching the podcast, they're like, okay, that's me. Like you put the house, $226,000 in debt, a trailer loan at 27,000, a car at 42,000, college debt at 7,000. I know people who have like, $50,000 to $150,000 in college loans because they're medical doctors.
Oh yeah.
And so on and so forth. And then you have that, that arc that is the journey of debt. And there's a fast road that cuts the path to the shortest path. Like, what can an average person expect in terms of how much that time can be cut, or how long it would take to be debt free? Obviously, there's going to be different case scenarios depending on how much debt they have. But given the financial GPS system, what does it look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I appreciate you pointing out the fact that everybody's going to be a little bit different. And to stand here and say, oh, well, I'm going to get everybody out of debt in X amount of years, that would be irresponsible and not accurate, right? So everybody's going to be a little bit different. What I always say is that if we are a good fit, which if you have a debt load that looks similar to this, right? If you have, 20 years left on your mortgage, you've got a car loan, you've got some college loan. If you are, I wouldn't say drowning in debt, definitely if you're drowning in debt, but if you do have a debt load and you have, some discretionary income at the end of the month, we can generally save on the minimum, if it's a good fit, on the minimum, 5 years and $50,000 on the minimum. If it's less than that, then I usually say there's some other things you can do to kind of help you get to a better spot where this might be a better fit for you. But on a general case, on the average, I would say it's closer to the 10 years and $100,000, not the 5 to 50, 5 years and $50,000. So if we're anywhere above that, then it's a really good fit and it's worth a conversation. And the other thing I love about this is, and this is why I love you, Jay, right? We're not here to be pushy. We're not here to push any agenda. It's just a conversation. And if it's a good fit and this makes sense and people want to commit to taking, and notice it's not instant, right? This is not, oh, well, I snap my fingers and I'm going to be out of debt tomorrow, right? That's not how it happens. But if we can take that 30 years or 25 years and cut that in half or 3/4, then that's probably worth some time, right? Because time is as important as money, depending on, where you're at in your life.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And I would even argue that it's better than money because time can buy money and time will never return. So it's the most valuable asset that we have. So like, I don't know if we could have use cases, but like when you're doing presentations to be able to offer this coaching to people, I don't know if you have, like, let's say someone has $500,000 in renovation debt, for example, or they have a certain amount of mortgage that they have to pay for the next 40 years. In my mind, as a sales ninja and a coach, I'm thinking the best presentation would be based on these three kinds of, plans where, one's, accelerated, where you're going to go as hard as you can to pay off debt. The one that in the middle is kind of what most people pick. And the one that's the third option is the one that because they're in so much debt and they're cash strapped, that's the least that they can do. And it would shave about this amount of time and bring your mortgage down from 40 years to 35 years or whatever.
Right. So let's use the mortgage as an example, just to kind of give kind of a reality check. And this is one of those things that it's I wouldn't say I hesitate to do this, but I do bring this up fully knowing how much of a gut punch this can be. And I don't say this to dissuade people or to discourage them, but it's one of those things. You and I have a mutual friend, Dale, right? You can't not tame what you cannot name, right? If you cannot say, here is the issue, here is the problem, then you don't know how to fix it and how to combat that. So if we start with, here is the understanding, here's really what's happening with my mortgage. Now, what am I going to do about it? Then we can start chipping away and making a difference at that. So let's run through some real numbers here, and I'll give your listeners maybe a new term that they were not aware of before. So we're just going to go with some general numbers here. We're going to say $400,000. That's probably a little bit on the low side right now, depending on where you live in America. And we're going to go with a decent interest rate, which I was talking to my sister. She's buying a new house, and 6% is actually a really good rate at this point. 2 years ago, that was a terrible rate. Now it's a pretty good rate. Just shows how, crazy things are. We're going to go with 30 years because that's generally how people can afford things, right? They have to max out the term as much as possible. And then, so we'll get to this in a second. So most people are thinking, okay, $400,000. If I multiply that by 6%, that's probably what I'm going to pay in my loan. Do you think that's how banks factor interest, Jay? Is that how that works?
I have no clue.
Okay, well then there we go. We're gonna learn something today.
I am.
The actual way that banks factor your interest on mortgages is not from the interest rate. And I can find it. I'll put this up as well. There's an image that is a screenshot from an actual loan disclosure statement. This is what you're signing. You're signing all of these different papers, right? And on the loan disclosure statement, it says your interest rate is not your APR. Better to say, your APR does not equal your interest rate.
Wow,
it's
really?
They're plain black and white, but we skip over that because it's like, oh, I got such a good rate. We're good to go. So the reality is this: what you are paying on your mortgage is called the total interest percentage. That's also in the loan disclosure, but no one talks about that, right? Banks don't talk about that because that would scare you away. The total interest percentage is this: 115%. So for your $400,000 house on a decent rate, you're going to pay $463,000 just in interest. And then your $400,000 house in 30 years, you've paid over $863,000 on that, and you have a 30-year-old house. So that is the reality of what is happening in America right now with mortgages.
Yikes.
Yes. Yikes indeed.
How do we get duped and not know that? Like in terms of like the APR, that the thing that you mentioned where it's 6% versus 115.
Well, I mean, the short answer is this: is that banks sell you on the APR, but they charge you on the tip. I mean, that is the short. They sell you on, hey, this is a great interest rate. Check this out. This is great. You're not going to find a better interest rate than this. And that may be true, but that is not how they're charging you. And again, you cannot tame what you cannot name. Now we know it's called the total interest percentage. So the gist is this, right? Do we want to do this the bank's way, which is going to, be 30 plus years, right? Where you're going to spend $863,000 with interest and the thing. And then at the end, right, in your bank account, what do we have at the end of that 30 years? You got nothing, right? There's no savings in your bank account with this $863,000. All you're doing is paying off the interest, right? So if we could do that in a faster way, and again, I can't guarantee it's going to be 5 to 7 years, but what if it was, right? What if it was 5 to 7 years? What if we could, save in this instance, it was about $280,000. $280,000 saved in interest from this 463. There's no way to get around paying some interest. You're still going to pay some interest, but if we can do this in a methodical, mathematical way, it's not magic, it's just math. You can do this in a mathematical way to limit the amount of interest that you're having to pay the bank. The other crazy part is this, is that if I can get out of debt in this amount of time, I can then start using what I would normally be paying to the bank to start paying myself, and then end up at the end of that 30 years with over $500,000 in my bank account.
What?
What sounds better to you?
Highway robbery. I'm crying out highway robbery.
Yep.
This is unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. And so, I mean, I am on, and if you can't tell, right, from my my energy here, right, this is something I'm very, very passionate about, and this is why I'm happy that I've kind of found this place of this platform and this option to really help people. Because as much as I love technology, and that's great, and I still work with people on that and train thousands of people all over the world about that, interactive whiteboards are not saving people's marriages and helping them go on better vacations and helping put their kids through college and all this kind of stuff. So this is really meaningful work that I am very, very passionate about and believe in wholeheartedly.
So walk us through maybe a little, a snapshot or a teaser on the proven financial GPS, because I think what's really, really important, and as a sales coach, education and understanding is huge, so that you're a teacher, you're a trainer.
Right.
So I'm getting this knowledge, for the first time in many ways, to be honest. And I'm hearing the data points. I'm looking at the money math. I'm looking at the current reality and the financial situation that most Americans face, and it's daunting. Now, the perfect segue in terms of a sales presentation would be like, okay, what does it look like to solve this problem? How do you solve this problem?
Right.
What does it take? How much time does it involve for me? Like, is it you walking me through it? Is it me looking at a course? What is it? How does it work?
Yep. So I'll give you just a snapshot of kind of what the GPS. This is not the GPS. This is kind of what if people meet with me to have a conversation, we kind of run through 3 different columns. Right. Here is what the bank is going to have you do. So for this instance, it was $600,000. I'm going to make this a little bigger.
Yeah.
Easier for you to see. There you go.
Okay, that's better. Much better. Thank you.
Yep. So $615,000, about $220,000 just in interest, and then about 28 years. Right. So again, no wealth accumulation, because again, we're paying all of that towards our principal and our interest. Okay. With the financial GPS system, we can knock that down to $500,000, saving you $112,000. Again, doing that in 15 years. Again, everybody's going to be a little bit different, so I can't guarantee dates and numbers on this point. But if we can save on the low side 5 years and $50,000, we can start doing these crazy things where we turn this zero into close to $500,000. That's really what it's all about. So that's what the numbers look like. The actual dashboard of this system is kind of like this, and you think of it like a GPS. Let me see if I can do this here. I'll try that. Annotate, switching my thing up here. There we go. Okay, so basically it's looking at this. So like John is getting $1,300 on the first. We go in there and check that off, and then we have these little things right here, which are your GPS signals. Hey, at this time, we are recommending a strategic transfer of savings over to checking, savings to Visa, savings to our first mortgage, right? It's all mathematical. There's no guesswork. It's not, oh, I'm going to throw $50 extra. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, right? Down to the penny, how much money do I move from what account to another account? And all I'm doing is just following the roadmap to maximize my GPS and to get to, here's the other part right here. There we go. Right here, years to pay off, right? It's going to show you exactly how many years to pay off, what your payoff date is. That's another part that's very unique to our GPS system, is that if you follow the system, if you're entering in accurate numbers and you're following the system, this date right here is money back guarantee. If you are following the system, this is exactly to the day when you're going to be completely debt-free, not just your mortgage, not just your bank, or not just your auto loan, all of your loans, everything's going to be paid off on this date if you're following the system. So
can you keep that up for a second? The best way that I understand is by recapping. Okay, so if you can blow that up. Amazing, by the way. So if I'm reading this chart properly, the interest saved is $171,000. It'll take 9.3 or 9, it's just a bit over 9 years to pay off. And the payoff date is, if you follow this, these step-by-step, recommendations from this program, you'll be debt-free by March the 1st, 2034.
That's correct. That's exactly right. And the other thing worth pointing out here is that, like a GPS, right, there are going to be obstacles. There's going to be things that get in your way, right? I have the path, or I have the plan to leave at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to be there by 5 o'clock. But then construction happens, then weather happens, then right. Okay, so similar to a GPS, it can reroute you. So when the boiler goes out, we just add a new transaction in. Oh, that's going to be $1,000. You know what? That's going to add another month.
I see.
Grand scheme of things, not a big deal. The inverse of that is true, right? You get a bonus, you get a big sale come in, you add that action, and now we start seeing those years to pay off. Now it's 8.9, now it's 8.7, right? So it works both ways. This is so we call it a financial GPS, but this is also, it's so much more than budgeting, because it's giving me forecasting, right? Hey, what if I did an investment property and it would cost this? What would that do to my payoff date? What if I cut back a little bit on Starbucks, right? What would that do to my payoff date? You could play with all these numbers and get a really good idea of the impact of your financial decisions, which I don't know another system that does that.
And that's based on the goals that you have, that you set, and then this, whatever you call it, software or account will recommend what you do. Does it actually move it, or it's just telling what you do and you got to
No, I'm very glad that you asked that question, because as is the case for anybody that's looking at this and thinking about money, we're a little bit nervous about that, right? Don't touch my money, don't move my money. This is just like a GPS, right? Your GPS does not go over there and grab the wheel and turn you. It just says, hey, Jay, now would be a good time to take this off ramp because that's the fastest route, okay? If something happens and you miss that, guess what? Now it goes from 9.3 to 9.4 because we missed that payment or something else happened. It's just going to reroute. And again, the other important part of this is that there's so much math going on behind the scenes. It's like 4 million lines of code and all of this factorial math. Thinking back to that debt load right there, again, there's ways to pay it off faster, but there's only one way to pay it off as fast as possible, and that's what we're all about.
So that GPS keeps you on course, and then if you follow that, let's say put something from here to there, then do you check it or something? You
just go in and confirm it. Yep. So I've got in my system, I've got it say, hey, here's the water bill. Here's when I have to pay the mortgage. Here's what I have to do that. I just go in and say, yep, confirm. Hey, I was expecting a $1,000 check. It was actually $1,250. I'm going to go and bump that up, and it's going to change and modify everything. So all of that stuff is done for you. You're just kind of checking off the list and making the turns as it's giving you notifications. Yep.
So when they're hiring you as their coach, are you doing one-on-one or are you doing group coaching?
Great question. So kind of how this whole process works is that, first off, we have to figure out if we're a good fit, right? So there's kind of an onboarding process where we do a debt-free analysis, right? So I don't need your bank account number. I don't need your passwords. I need none of that. I just need to know, hey, I've got a mortgage for this amount. This is when I'm paying on it. Here's my interest rate. I started 2 years ago, like that kind of information. Give me a basic idea. And that's where this comes in right here, the one that I showed just a second ago. Once I have that information, then we can run your numbers, right? So what would be the bank's plan? What is the financial GPS called Money Max account? What would that do for you? And then it's a matter of commitment, okay? How committed are you to this? There is a cost to this. There's no way of getting around that. But if I can save on a minimum 5 years and $50,000, is that worth a small portion of that to invest now to give me years and hundreds of thousands of dollars back in my pocket?
I would say yes. Can you put that chart back out? The three charts. The three things. So if I'm reading the numbers properly, because I love talking about money math.
Yep.
And let's see. I think the top portion is saying, what is that telling us? The amount that they will save or that they will make, or the top number, 615, 506,000, 109,000.
Yep. So this is, I'll go back to my annotate here, just makes it easier. Yep. So this is how much you would be paying in the bank's plan. This is how much you pay with the financial GPS. So you're paying some. So how much does that save? That ends up saving you almost $110,000, $109,000. Okay.
I see.
Again, ironic. I don't know. Funny. Again, it was total interest percentage. If you spell that out, that's a tip. So basically you're just giving a big tip to the bank. Like, hey, here you go. Thanks for lending money. Here's $100,000 or
you see the interest percentage is tip.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. That's funny. Yeah. And then the second line is what? 222,000.
So this is the debt payment. Here's your interest payment. So with the bank's plan, 222,000. With the Money Max account, it's 112. So you're still paying some, but again, you're saving this amount on interest.
You're paying like half the interest.
Half of the interest, exactly right. Yep, 49%, exactly right. Okay, and then on the next one is your time, right? So 28 years here, 15 years there, and how much time are we saving? 13 years. Okay, and then what this is presupposing down here is that if for the whatever that is, so the 12.9 years, right? 12.9 years, saying we're paying $1,500 towards our mortgage, right, or to all of our debts. If we take that $1,500 for the last 13 years and we put that, says right here, on a savings with a 1% return. Jay, do you think we could probably find an investment that gets us better than a 1% return?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, right? So this is a very, very low estimate. That sounds crazy. People are like, oh my gosh, that's $500,000. That is a low estimate. We're only presuming a 1% return. You put that in a high yield savings account, you're going to get 3 to 4%.
Yeah, or more.
Exactly.
So
right.
you can make like $1 million to millions.
Right. And you have 13 years of your life back.
So basically, if just to recap, so what would take you to pay the bank back, which is almost pretty much 30 years, which is a lifetime for most people, pretty much anyone actually.
Yep.
You could do it in half, which is 15 years, and save $1 million to like millions, $500,000 to millions.
Yep. That is the short version. Exactly.
So
the other thing that just breaks my heart is as I'm talking to people is that, kind of you talk about your ideal client, right? Ideal client for me would be, somewhere between 25 and you would think maybe 25 and 45. I have a lot of clients that are 55, 65, even close to 70. They just bought a house at 65, 70 years old. They've got how are you going to pay off a 30-year mortgage when you're 70 years old, right? So how can we reverse engineer this where we can get you debt free in 10 years and you can enjoy your retirement rather than just working literally until the day you die just to pay off debt.
So how many, I don't know if you know the number of this, but how many people know about this system, or how many clients have been able to benefit?
Clients that have been benefited is in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. The percentage, which is, I mentioned before, and those are correct numbers, that 3 billion, I think it was 2.9, something like that, but it's getting really close to 3 billion right now. That sounds like a lot of money, and it is. It's so much money. But you had made a comment at the beginning of this of just student loans. Student loans in the United States is over $1 trillion with $1 trillion. So is $3 billion a lot to save people? Absolutely. Have we scratched the surface on the amount of debt that is in America? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So there's to use a spiritual term, right? The fields are white and the workers are few. There's plenty of people that need this. And there's a great opportunity if you wanted to help people like I am to make a pretty sizable income by helping people do this very thing that I'm doing as well. So there's kind of multiple avenues that you can work with this on.
I can see why you're passionate about this, and the frustrating part for me is I'm feeling your passion is why more people don't know about this and how we can let more people find out and discover.
Right. Yep. So, it's one of those things there's only, 24 hours in a day, right? Which we're not working 24 hours a day. And we've got, you and I've known each other for a couple of years now. We've got lots of balls that we're juggling at this point. So how do we, maximize the time that we have specifically for this? And how do we maximize our reach? I've got a couple things that I'm working on currently. I was very, very blessed. I know it was a God thing to get a grant that's actually paying for dinner and prizes and marketing and this kind of stuff to get people in a room where I can feed them and give them some education, which that kind of leads to the giveaway, which I'm happy to talk about here in a second, as well as some great educational content that culminates with this financial GPS. So I've got 9 more sessions of that. I'm also working concurrently with that to take this to like a virtual class as well, because there's only so many hours in a day. There's so many people that are in my little neck of the woods that would come to that. So I want to make this available online as well.
Amazing. And I don't know if you may have already gone down this track, but like I know people who are like presidents of chambers of commerces or BNIs, and they've got access to literally thousands, tens of thousands, if not more. Right. And they meet regularly, and they're looking for people like you to speak, because to be able to eliminate debt. I mean, that's my mission, is to help break generational poverty, to eliminate debt. And I think even as a country, America, needs, because of the amount of debt that we have, the global debt that we have just overall on our planet.
Yep.
It's unfathomable.
It is. Another thing that I think is so interesting, because I work, my VA is from the Philippines. I've got other people that are international. This is not a worldwide problem, which I think is so ironic. I don't know if irony is the right word, but this is a U.S. thing. I don't know about Canada or Mexico, but United States is very much a, buy now, pay later type of society. The other thing which I thought was very interesting, because Dave Ramsey, he does have some good things. He talked about the the history of credit. This idea of buying on credit is not something that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's really the last couple generations. We talked to like my grandparents, they didn't buy on credit, right? They waited to earn enough to then buy that car, or then to get in a small house and then kind of add on to it or whatever. This is really in the last couple generations that we have become so spoiled, if I can say it so bluntly, that we want things now, and we want to, we don't want to think about the consequences down the road. But to my weight analogy, you can, with a stroke of a pen, go from no debt to $500,000 just like that. And the ramifications of that can be generational if you don't take care of it.
100%. So as we bring it to a close, I want to talk about the future vision and industry's trends, because with the future of technology, and you're in ed tech and automation and AI, what does the future hold? Like is a two-part question. Number one, when people are hiring you, are they hiring you for coaching and access to the software, which is included? That's the first question. And the second question is, how does technology and AI and automation impact how people are becoming debt-free? Is it helping or not?
Yeah, we'll save the AI one for the end there. So as far as working with me, again, it all starts with that debt-free analysis. Let's just have a call. Again, Jay knows me, and for those that don't know me, I'm a pretty laid-back guy. I'm not the pushy sales guy, which is why Jay and I get along so well, right? It's just a conversation. If it's a good fit, we move to the next step. If it's not, then I will do my best to give you some educational pieces, which is, again, that nice thing about that class is that it's kind of two pieces, right? It's educational. It's also, here's some action steps doing that. So if it is a good fit coming out of that debt-free analysis, we run numbers to make sure everything's good on that. Once the program is purchased, it is a one-time purchase. That is a lifetime.
Oh, is it?
A lifetime to have the financial GPS. They have that. This is another really, really cool thing. It also grows with them. So say right now, because of my debt load, I'm just paying off my mortgage and my stuff. 10 years down the road, I'm now debt-free. Now I can look into investments. Now I want to get some rental properties. Now I want to do these things. We can add that into the financial GPS, and it's going to show us how to pay that off in a faster route as well. So this is something that will mold and grow with you throughout time. And when the time comes for you to go meet your maker, this is willable to your children. So you can actually pass down this amazing gift to your kids and help them live debt-free and financially intelligently as well.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about it being multi-purpose. But let's say when you are debt-free and you have all these disposable income that you can reallocate, then you can invest into something else, whether it's investments or houses or real estate or whatever, and then use that software to do the final GPS roadmap on how you can pay that off as well.
Right. Smart. Exactly. Yep. Okay. So it is much more than just a debt elimination software. It is a financial roadmap, no matter where you're at in your situation, to help you find the fastest route to meet your goals, right? The initial goal may be to get out of debt. We have wealth building on the backside of, okay, now that you're out of debt, what is the fastest way to build that wealth and grow that to where you're making a generational impact?
Gotcha. Yep. So, and I forgot to ask, because faith is such a big part of your business and your life and your marriage and your parenting with your financial freedom. How does faith influence your work in financial coaching, especially when guiding clients toward a mindset of abundance and of financial freedom can be confusing?
Absolutely. No. And again, I mentioned it, kind of alluded to it at the top of the call, is that, again, nothing wrong with the educational technology. I love what I do in that space. That's not a heart connection, right? That is, me providing awesome technology that helps them make classrooms more interactive, right? Good, noble purpose. Nothing wrong with that. This is something that can improve marriages, right? This can relieve some stress that would be normally happening between mom and dad, is now a little bit less because we're having these conversations and we're able to pay things off. We can, again, forecast, like, hey, we want to go on this vacation. Let's start building towards that. Let's make that our next goal, so we can just drop cash and be able to go on this awesome vacation that we wouldn't normally. So absolutely, it is there's a heart connection, and then the spiritual. I mean, the Bible says that, we are not called, we as children of God are not called to be in debt. We are to lend to others, right? We are to be the lenders, not the ones that are in debt at this point. And so God did not call us to be in this constant state of debt. And the faster we can get out of that, I think there's another one in Psalms talks about like a snare, like a rabbit caught in a snare, get out as quickly as possible, right? So this is what This is what we're trying to do, is to get you out of debt as quickly as possible. So then when you are out of debt and you do have this financial freedom, then you can look to, how can I bless others? How can I give more? Again, this is why you and I get along so well. How can I sell more? How can I get out of debt to be able to give more back?
Amazing. I love that. So we're going to end with a lightning round, getting to know Andy, and then we're going to share some free gifts that you have, and I'm going to have you explain that.
Yep.
Let's see here. I'll actually do in the order of the free gifts first. Okay, so we have a free 5 simple steps to reduce your debt and build wealth today. So you have I think it's a PDF. Is that correct?
Yep. Exactly right. So what that was, and again, this is kind of likens back to the conversation that I have with the folks at my classes, right? It's like, I don't want to just be there to sell you on the MMA or in the financial GPS, which is a wonderful thing, but it may not be a good fit, right? Maybe you're not in enough debt that makes sense at this point. What are some practical things that you can do to be more financially wise, right? It shocks me, and it honestly shouldn't shock me, because 3 years ago, I was not aware of the difference and the impact that a high yield savings account. You ever heard of an HYSA?
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay. So a high yield savings account is going to get you from 3 to 4%. Think of it as savings account, but a 3 to 4% interest rate return on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Compared to a normal savings account that you get at your local bank, that's like 0.01%. Like legit, like those are, I'm not making up numbers. That is like an average of what you're getting on it. So
they want you to save
$10,000, so $10,000 in a year is going to make you $1 here, or $300 to $400 here. And that literally costs you nothing. It's just, how can I be wiser with my money, a good steward, and use money to grow for me and to work for me rather than work against me. So little things like that are things that maybe just people are not aware of, and just some tips and tricks along that route.
And we also have a free analysis and custom plan to eliminate debt and build wealth with no pressure, just solutions. So you have a calendar link that you want to share?
Exactly. Yeah. So that is one that you just, and I love it. It just goes right to my calendar. It says, hey, here's the availability that Andy has. Pick a time that works for you. And then we hop on a quick 30-minute conversation. The first call really is to just get to know each other a little bit, kind of hear about what's going on in your financial world. What are your goals? And then from the end of that one, if it makes sense to run numbers, then we run numbers and we see if it's a good fit. So always just a fun, laid back conversation, and always with the intent of how can I serve and how can I help you?
Awesome. Yep. Okay, so we're going to leave that up, and that's going to be in the show notes and also in the comments on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and anywhere else that this is streaming. So the lightning round is a 60-second dash to get to know Andy. So as I ask the questions, just share what comes at the top of your head.
All right.
So morning routine, what does your morning routine look like, especially as someone who coaches others towards financial freedom?
So my current morning routine, and it has changed over the the last year or so, is to get up about 6:15, 6:30, do a quick walk, and then come back, read the Bible a little bit, get my showered, have breakfast, and then to work by 8 o'clock here. So, which is all from home, but that's kind of my current, is try to get moving right off the bat. I am trying to mix in some rowing as well. I understand that the need for some movement right out of bed. So I'm working towards that.
Okay, awesome. Favorite financial tip. What's one simple financial tip you believe everyone should follow to improve their financial situation? I'm
going to repeat the last one right there. I think that is one that is just kind of rocked me. It's like, why would I leave, and I literally have, I think I have $6,000 in my high yield savings account right now. It was not getting me anything, right? Why not put that in a month and I'm getting, $30, $40, right? I mean, it makes no sense. Why would I not put it in some place where it can earn money for me rather than just sitting there collecting dust?
Awesome. Personal mantra. Do you have a personal mantra or quote or Bible verse that keeps you motivated to keep going in your work?
Oh man, so many to choose from. I think the one that I've kind of always fallen back on, it goes all the way back to when I was a teacher, is the choices you make today form the person that you'll be tomorrow, right? So how can you make better choices to become the person. I think Matthew McConaughey says, hey, who is your hero? It's me in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And when you get to 5 years, it's another 5 years down the road. So you're never there, but you're always reaching to try to be your best version of yourself.
All right.
Here you go.
Unexpected hobby. What's an unexpected hobby or interest you have outside of your work that's outside of financial coaching?
I don't know if it's a hobby. I'm a DJ, which people kind of, I don't know. I seem kind of straight laced. I'm not the wiki type of DJ. I'm more of like the wedding DJ that plays fun songs and kind of, does announcements. But I've done that for, 15 plus years and over 100 weddings. So I definitely enjoy that. I'm not sure it's a hobby, but I collect coins, which is maybe kind of a little bit of a hobby. So there you go.
I've never seen any footage of you DJing, so that would be kind of interesting to mix.
Because there's no footage, right? I mean, I'm there to play music and to make announcements. It is not about me. It's about the bride. And so I enjoy that. I'm kind of a softie. I'm a hopeless romantic. So I always tear up even if I don't know the bride and groom, just because it's
a DJ that makes music and dances you out of debt.
There you go. There we go. We'll mix the two.
Wikipedia. Oh, and collecting coins. That's a good one because, I mean, you help people collect coins or money that they're leaving on the table, right, from debt. Exactly. So you can use those. Last question is books that have changed your life. What's one book that has had a profound influence on your personal or professional life?
Well, the obvious answer, and it is by far the most impactful, is the Bible. There are other books that I've read and that I listen to. Will be honest, I'm much more of an audiobook than a sit down and read a book.
Me too.
But I think you and I have exchanged a couple times of Headway. If you guys don't know Headway as the app, there's a lifetime deal. It's literally the best $50 you'll ever spend. Tens of thousands of books that you can listen to the entire gist of the book in 15 minutes. I did one earlier this week. Dan Martell, what was it?
Buy Back Your Time?
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Buy Back Your Time. That one is phenomenal. Atomic Habits is another one that I have.
James Clear.
Yep. So too many to name.
All of my favorites that you mentioned. So Andy's mission is to help families achieve financial freedom and wealth building with simple, actionable steps that bring measurable success. So please connect with him at Facebook. You can connect with him on YouTube. You can download these free resources, the 5 simple steps to reduce your debt and build wealth today. And also jump on a call with him because he can give you a free analysis and a custom plan to help you eliminate debt with no pressure. Because he's the DJ that helps you pick the coins. Wiki. So thank you so much for your time, Andy, and looking forward to the next call. Take care for now.
See ya.
See ya.